Hello everyone, and thank you for joining my session today. Thank you Brian and the entire Enterprise DNA team for having me again this summer. My name is Cristian and I will show you today one example of integration between different Power Platform and Office 365 components, hopefully giving you some ideas and showing some options on how this can work together to streamline different business cases one might have. Before going into details, a few words about me.
I'm a project manager turned into a data guy, a certified Microsoft trainer holding some other Microsoft data related certifications with a background in electrical engineering. Working exclusively with data for the last 8 years, both in operations and IT. I am also the organizer of Romania PowerBI and Modern Excel user group for the last almost 2 years, and what I'll be sharing today is actually based on a real use case related to Romania PowerBI user group and eDNA. As some of you might already know, we at Romania PowerBI user group are happy to have eDNA as the main official sponsor since August last year. And I'm proud to say that we were the first user group in the world to have been sponsored by Enterprise DNA. And this happened only due to Brian Julius and Sam Mackay. Thank you again, gentlemen. eDNA is sponsoring 2 full annual Enterprise DNA memberships free of charge to distribute to our members on each ROPAG meeting. In order to distribute these free licenses to our members, I came up with a process that I want to share with you today so that it could serve as a sample for different business processes you might have either as a whole or at least giving you some ideas on things could potentially be integrated. As business users, we are all having access to different components from the Microsoft stack. Components like Power BI, which is mainly used for business analytics, helping us making informed and confident business decisions by putting data-driven insights into everyone's hand. Or Power Automate, used for process automation, which boosts business productivity to get more done by giving everyone the ability to automate organizational processes. Or Power Apps, which is used for app development, turning ideas into organizational solutions by enabling everyone to build custom apps that solve business challenges. Or Power Virtual Agents, intelligent virtual agents, which can be easily used to build chatbots and to engage conversationally with your customer and employees with no coding required. Or Power Pages, external facing websites, which are helping to quickly build low-code business websites for delivering vital information and services to our customers. All of these components are really powerful alone, but when used together, they are even better. And they are the components of the Power Platform, the low-code platform, which is more than the sum of its parts, giving everyone the ability to create solutions and build end-to-end business solutions. On the other side, we have the classic, by now, Microsoft Office components like Excel, PowerPoint, OneNote, OneDrive, Word, Teams, Outlook, and others. All of them components of Office 365, the Microsoft suite that has been around for many years already, helping businesses and home users alike in the daily activities. And speaking of Office 365, starting this November, Office 365 is becoming Microsoft 365, becoming the cloud-powered productivity platform that includes all the Office apps and so much more, now with new ways to help the users find, create, and share content in one place. Considering both the Power Platform and Microsoft 365 range of products, all powerful and well designed to work together, when offering the prizes from Enterprise DNA to Romania Power BI user group members, I thought it would be nice to use some of them. And using these ones is how we've managed to integrate Microsoft 365 with Power Platform to run the Enterprise DNA raffles on Romania Power BI user group monthly basis as follows. Using Microsoft Forms to collect data from the live attendees of monthly meetups, then using Power Automate to write the data collected through forms to a SharePoint list and send emails to form responders with the raffle IDs, and then build a Power BI report based on the SharePoint list to view and analyze the answers. Initially, the raffle and the random picker was done inside the Power BI report using a Power Apps component, but then after a while we've switched to a more visual approach and run the raffle using Wheel of Names, an external online program, and repurposed the Power Apps component to write back to SharePoint the winners. Having the Power BI report done, I've added it to Microsoft Teams so that I had everything related to the meetups in the same place, together with two additional important components: one Excel file with Power Query getting the winners from SharePoint, and one Word file getting the winners from the Excel file and perform a mail merge to validate winner's address. Recently, Microsoft added the possibility to embed the Power BI report live into PowerPoint, and this could be also an option, but it's not really helping me here, so I won't demo that. I only wanted to let you know about it. Speaking of demos, let's see the entire flow in action using a fictional user attending our last meetup and go through all the steps together. As building the entire flow during the time that we have allotted in this summit would be impossible, I will show you the entire flow already built, and I will explain every step that I did there, and also testing all the components with a fictional participant on our last meetup. So, as first step in the flow, it's Microsoft Forms to collect the data. Let's move to Forms, and let me explain what I have here. This is a simple form with some theme applied to collect the data both for feedback on our user group and for the raffle. There are some mandatory steps here, like the name, the email, and the option to participate or not in the raffle, and there are some additional fields in order to improve our next meetups and collect suggestions for future topics and so on. Well, as this is not a really complicated form, the next step in the flow would be to collect this data somewhere, and even if in the flow we have Power Automate, this is the step that's the next one when building a flow like this. So we need to build the SharePoint list where all the information is stored before doing the Power Automate. Going into SharePoint, this is the list with the latest participants on Romania Power BI user group. Of course, this is a view. It's not showing all the fields that I collected for privacy reasons and something else. But if we go to the list settings, you will see that all the columns that I have in the SharePoint list are actually the answers mapped from the Microsoft form. So one thing to make sure is that in the SharePoint list we have more or less, not more or less, all the fields from the form plus any additional fields that one might like. As soon as we have the SharePoint list done and the form done, the next step is to go into Power Automate and create a flow to collect the data from forms and write it to SharePoint. And the flow, it's not that complicated, it's actually really simple, because we can leverage all the pre-built connectors that are inside Power Automate, just like this. So the first step is to build an automatic cloud flow, and the trigger for this would be when a response to a form is submitted. When we are doing this, the only thing that we have to choose is the name of the form that we want to collect data from. Then adding an action, details, we need to add a step like this one, where we are collecting the same form, and dynamically we are getting the response ID for that specific form. Of course, I will not do that now because I already have the step. I just wanted to show you how easy it is to add a step. So let's delete this one and show you the actual step here. And then when we have the response ID for each of the answers, we are adding another step, a create item, a SharePoint item, where we are just putting the link for that specific, where the list that we've built, it's already there, the list name, and then on each of the mapped columns that we have in the SharePoint list, we are getting the dynamic details from the answers from the previous step. So from get response details, we are mapping the email, the name, everything to the specific columns inside SharePoint. There is a manual entry, actually it's not quite manual, but it's a modifiable column inside SharePoint, where I'm manually inputting on every month the name of the meetup for that month, so that on that specific column, which is this one, I know exactly afterwards I can put some filters and I can split everything correctly, and this is done manually here. So as soon as we are mapping all the responses to the corresponding fields in the SharePoint list, we need to build a variable, a string variable, which is called raffle participant now, where we are actually getting dynamically the get response details, whether participants want to participate in the monthly raffle. This is used later on in the next step in the condition, checking whether the answer is yes or no, and depending on the answers we can send one email or another, and I will explain you how it is. So the next step after getting the string with the answer whether a participant want to be in the raffle or not is to add a condition, this one, and here we are checking the result of this variable, so result of this step, the raffle participants, we are checking whether this is equal to yes. If it's yes, it means the participant checked in the form that he wants to participate in the raffle, and then only those ones are only those participants are getting inside the raffle or not. So depending on the answer here, whether this condition holds true or not, we have two different options. If the participant doesn't want to be in the raffle, we are sending him an email where we are just getting the same dynamic name and fixed text thanking for the feedback and making sure that the answer is well considered in order to improve our next meetups. But if the participants want to be in the raffle, he gets a different email with the subject, which is also related to each specific meetup. But inside the answer, there is the ID dynamically. I'm getting the ID from SharePoint with the raffle ID. So he knows, participating in the raffle, what ID is allotted to him. And this ID is actually the SharePoint list ID from here, which is automatically. Well, in order to test this, we have to save the flow and test it manually by submitting a new response to the selected form to trigger it. So let's test it and go back to the form, going in preview, and the first test will be with a participant that it's not part of the raffle. So we'll just fill the forms. Let's say it's my name is John Doe. I will put my email address so we can check whether the email was sent or not. I'm joining from Albania, Tirana, let's say. I'm a man. How did you find out about the meetup? I'm a member of Romania PowerBI user group. Yes, I subscribed. Have you ever visited Enterprise DNA? Yes. Do you want to enter the monthly raffle? This is the field that it's converted to string inside the flow. And for the first test, I will check the no box. And this is the third section of the form. How likely is that you will attend any of our future meetup? For sure. Let's say I suggest 2 possible topics and submit the form. Well, as soon as I submitted the form, let's check our flow ran successfully, and let's see the answers. So when a flow runs, we can check all the answers here manually. So I got a response ID 16. I'm from Albania. I'm a man. I have all the information here. And if we go to the condition, we'll see that the condition was not met. So I didn't want to participate in the raffle, and I should have got an email like this. And let's check the email, and of course I have it. Dear John Doe, thank you for filling this form. So it's working. Let's delete this email for now and try again with an actual participant. So edit the flow, save it again, and test it manually by filling again the form. With an actual participants. Let's say that I'm again John Doe. My name is again my email, so I can check whether I get the correct email. I'm joining from Romania this time. From Timișoara. I'm a man. I'm a member. Yes, I am subscribed. I did visit Enterprise DNA and I love it. And I want to participate in the raffle. Of course, I will come again, and I would like to see topics on all kind of Power BI related stuff, and let's submit the form. Going back to the flow, let's see what's happening. Our flow ran successfully, and this time, if we are checking the condition, this time the condition was met. I mean, the answer that I provided in the form was correctly evaluated to yes. I wanted to participate in the raffle, and I should have got an email saying that my raffle ID is 249, and let's see if I have that email. And indeed, I received an email with the raffle ID 249, and this 249 should be also visible already in the SharePoint. Let's filter everything for our latest meetup and filter it down. 249, yes, and I'm here. So this is the way how we are getting the data and from forms using Power Automate, sending emails and writing it to SharePoint conditionally depending on the answer whether we want to participate or not in the raffle. Now that we have all the data collected from forms into SharePoint, the next step is to build the Power BI report, which you'll see it's actually used for 3 different purposes. One is to get the users that are participating in the raffle in a temporary query, so I can just paste it in the wheel of names. One, to see how many participants and how many people and from where all over the world are actually attending the meetup. And one, in the end, you'll see to write back to SharePoint the names of the winners in the raffle. So let me open the Power BI file and show you how I did the connection to the SharePoint here. So by transforming data, we are opening the Power Query editor, and here I have everything prepared according to the best practice that I like to follow, the 3-layer pulse methodology. The 3-layer pulse methodology, as I call it, where there is a single raw data connection query for each data source in Power Query, several staging queries that are not loaded in the model, and the 3rd layer is the data model layer, which is the actual tables that are loaded in the data model. There are several benefits in using this methodology, as I call it, and the 2 most important ones for me at least are the ease of navigate or debug using dependency view, and the second is the ability to avoid the famous formula firewall errors when combining different files. Ken has a good old article from 2015 explaining this, and you have the link on the screen. So let me show you how I did the 3 layers. The first one is the raw data layer, which is actually the raw data connection to the SharePoint list. and removing the columns that I don't need. The second one is the staging layer, exactly as I showed you, where I'm keeping all the data that I need and only those columns that I needed. And the third layer is actually the table with the data loaded into the data model. This one with all the details that I might ever need. The query that I'm using to get the participants in the raffle is actually a different one, an easy one, also referenced from this staging query, and where I'm getting all the participants, their raffle IDs and their countries. And if I'm refreshing this, we should see the latest participant, John Doe, with ID 249 from Romania. Just before running the raffle, I'm refreshing this, copying all the names here and pasting it into the wheel of names external tool. If you want to see the dependency view here, you will see that the dependency view is following the exact 3-layer pulse methodology, with layer 1 the raw data connection, layer 2 the staging queries which are not loaded into the data model, and layer 3 the data model layer with the only tables that are needed for the report. Going back to the report, I already have the report prepared with a single visual for now, which is showing me the location, the countries, and the number of participants from different countries in the world. And this is how every time we are running the raffle, we can see how many people and from where are they coming. Okay, let's consider that the raffle is over and John Doe, our guy that filled the form earlier, is a winner. We could go into the SharePoint list and modify its record here. Just modify the value whether he won or not from here, no problem. But I don't want to do that because this time, yes, I can have only one, but in real life processes you can have more than one or many more records to be updated. So what do? Well, we go back to the PowerBI report and we do something that we are allowed to do because PowerBI works very, very well with Power Apps. So let's say we make some room here and add a Power Apps for PowerBI visual in the report. We will try to write back the names of the winner from Power Apps. As you can see, the Power Apps report is telling us how to get started by selecting the fields from our dataset that we would like to use in the app, add the existing app to the report or create a new one, save and publish the Power Apps and see it updated here. Well, normally in any Power Apps application which is built over SharePoint, the first thing that we need to add here, it's the ID, because we'll use it later on. Of course, we need the name, the meetup, the country and city maybe, and the actual field that we need to modify, which is the column 1 from the SharePoint. Here we have two options, whether to choose an existing app or create a new one. Creating a new one will get us to the Power App Studio, and all the Power Apps creation is done in Power App Studio. Like in a cooking show, we'll move forward and I'll show you the end results. So let's get back and cancel this one. Delete it. Let's say it's already finished. I'll show you the one that we already have. So we already have a Power Apps which is connected to the SharePoint, and this Power Apps is actually following all the filters that are selected from this report. So let's say we want to see whoever participated from US. We see we have 3 participants, and if we are selecting the ones from Romania, we'll see John Doe, our guy with ID 249. Of course, developing the Power Apps, it's a totally different thing. There are some very good tutorials on YouTube, and it would take us too much to go through all the steps. But the basic idea is that I need an app showing me whatever I'm selecting here and being connected to the SharePoint, so I can write back to SharePoint out of it. Now that I have my Power BI report published in the service, I want to use the newly created Power Apps inside Power BI to write back that John Doe was a winner. So I want to make sure that the field on the column 1 is yes, and this is coming from this Power Apps app. First, let's check the actual status. So John Doe with ID 249 for now on column 1 has a no, and let's try to write it from Power BI. So if I'm selecting the participants from Romania and I see John Doe here, just pushing this button and the second screen is opening with some additional details and only one editable field, the field which is writing back in the column 1 as a raffle winner. And if I'm selecting yes and press OK, I get a message that the winner was recorded in the SharePoint list successfully. And we should check this inside SharePoint and refresh the list to see whether it worked. So everything worked. You can write anything. You can even insert or delete records from SharePoint list using Power Apps from Power BI. Well, now that I have everything working, I want to have everything in a single place, which could be either Teams or SharePoint. For Teams, I already added the both Power BI report and some other tabs in this report, but embedding a Power BI report inside Teams, it's really easy. You just have to go on plus, check Power BI, choose the workspace where everything is saved, select it, save, and we will be adding another one, more or less the same report that I already had here. But there is another option, and we can integrate Power BI with SharePoint if we want, or with PowerPoint if you want. Embedding it in SharePoint, it's really easy. You just go to File, Embed Report, SharePoint Online, copy the link, and go to SharePoint. Let's go to Home and try to add the report inside the main page of the SharePoint by editing the page and adding a Power BI report. Add report, paste the report in here. Which page do we want to display? We want to display page 1. Which type of display? And this is it. Republish everything. And we can have the report both in SharePoint or in Teams or in PowerPoint if you want. Of course, in any of these places the report is still usable, drillable, and let's say now that we made a mistake and we want to modify John Doe is not actually a winner. We can come here and say no. The winner recorded in SharePoint is successfully, so we've changed the value for that column. And let's get into the SharePoint list and check it. Filter for the correct meetup. And now John Doe should have a no on the one column. As you saw, everything is working seamlessly, so it's only a matter of choice whether someone will choose to embed a Power BI report with the Power Apps inside in a SharePoint or in Teams or somewhere else, like PowerPoint. Now that we've come so far and we managed to get data using forms, write it to SharePoint using Power Automate, sending emails using Power Automate, then building reports out of SharePoint and writing back to SharePoint, we've managed to publish into Teams the final Power BI report. And let's say John Doe, our hero, is the only one that won this month. So let's get back to Teams and make sure that he has a one button here. So let's modify it, write back to SharePoint from Power BI in Teams, selecting yes here, and it should work. So let's try it here and verify. Yeah, now John Doe is a winner. His enterprise DNA license is to be assigned, but in order to do so, we have to make sure that his email address is correct. So in order to do that, we need to send an email to all the winners for email validation, and this is done using another Microsoft Office 365 component, Excel, which is also connected to SharePoint, getting the winners for that specific date. And this is done pretty easy because in Teams, we can also link Excel. Of course, the Power Query cannot be refreshed in Teams, so one would need to edit the Excel file in the local app. But as soon as we have the winners, their emails and everything, what if you have 200 people that you would like to email to? It would be pretty difficult to send individual emails. Therefore, there is another component from Microsoft Office 365 that we can use, and this is Mail Merge in Word. In order to do this, of course, we also need to edit the file in the desktop app, and by doing so, we will get to be asked where is the winners coming from which file. So this Word document is connected to the Excel file, getting the names from that Excel files, and let's preview the data. And right there, John Doe is the winner with my email address, is the winner that I'm sending an email to. So in order to send the email, we just finish and merge, send emails, and if we go back to mail, we should get an email and sure enough, we got the email and everything is working. Completing the process flow. So, going back to the slides, what you saw here as a demo is just one of the many possible use cases of integration between Power Platform and Microsoft 365. But depending on the needs, the possibilities are virtually unlimited. The summit and all other events created by people or entities willing to share their knowledge can be really helpful in showcasing some of the possibilities and provide ideas for end users so that they can adapt and build their own custom solutions. In my view, for a citizen developer like most of us here, knowing and seeing that something specific is possible, regardless of the technology we're talking about, is much more important than being an expert in all of them. So, my key takeaways from this session, they should be that Microsoft put a lot of effort to build its ecosystem and has built some really great tools and connectors so that us, the solution developers, can leverage its components. Before building anything, write it down first, plan for it, wireframe your process, and only then choose the best tool for the job. Use the templates offered by Microsoft, or build your own templates, like Power Automate, List, and all the other tools provide a wide range of templates that can help speed up and ease the solution development. Depending on your licensing, some connectors or tools are included and some are premium. Consider that and adapt your solutions to get the best value using the tools that you already have access to. With so many great components available, combining them and get the best solution developed is practically unlimited. And last but not least, work smarter, not harder, and never stop learning. This was my demo today, and I want to thank you all again for joining my session, and thank you Enterprise DNA for organizing this. I'm really honored to be part of this event, and I hope you'll find this session helpful, giving some ideas on how Power Platform can be integrated with Microsoft 365. I'm happy I was able to share a bit of my knowledge, and I encourage all of you to start sharing so others in the community can catch up. Feel free to connect on LinkedIn, follow me on Twitter, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And make sure that next week, on November 24th, you join Romania Power BI user group, because Melissa De Corte is having really great session on Power Query Magic. Thank you all again, and bye bye.